Hello and welcome to your Monday News Surge. It is July 15th, 2024, and it has been a toasty week. You can see I'm back in my red, white, and blue. The blue's down somewhere down there. It's down lower. Red, white, and blue tank top because it has been so hot. And I mean that in terms of temperature. I think a lot of places across the U.S. and maybe across the world have been experiencing toasty weather. I like the toasty weather, personally. But it's also been a pretty hot news week, as you can see with what I started there. If you haven't heard what happened on Saturday afternoon-ish, then I guess you were out camping and disconnected from the rest of the world. I'm going to touch on that, but let's get into the numbers. We're looking at a price of, let's just call it 60,000, which means you'll get yourself 1,600 sats for $1. I know I'm rounding up here, rounding down, rounding around. Public nodes, which are right down here behind my chest, 11,425, which is a pretty significant jump down, or a drop down, I should say, from the 19,000 that we were at last week or the week before. Average block time coming in at 9 minutes and 48 seconds. Fees are still pretty damn low. That anytime fee price of 2 sats per VByte is quite reasonable if you want to move things around or consolidate some UTXOs. I need to be exceptionally clear with where I stand on something. Even though I showed you that picture of Trump raising his fist in defiance of being shot at and being hit, and then Biden, which I'm about to show you, a clip of his, I don't vote. There's a quote attributed to Mark Twain where he says, apparently, if voting mattered, they wouldn't let us do it. And I have no idea if that is accurate. I don't know if that's how things actually work. I don't know. But I decided 2-3 years ago, I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm not playing the political game. You all can do that.
Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further.
Do prices feel lower to you? Do you think that when you go into the grocery store and you see that eggs cost twice as much as they did a couple of years ago, do you look at that and go, yeah, prices are so much lower than they were just a little while ago, and man, that dang corporate greed, they're after it again, trying to get all that money from me. Next up, there's this tweet from the Bitcoin conference, who obviously puts on their show over in Nashville this year. It's usually in Miami and then in Amsterdam later in the year. And I don't know what this is referring to. This could be another El Salvador type thing. This could be another political person coming there. It could be Julian Assange coming to speak at the conference. It could be a lot of things. I'm guessing Assange. That would not surprise me in the least. And my biggest question about the conference is, are we going to see Trump there? And if Trump is going to be there, it will be a pretty big deal. But even if he doesn't make it due to obvious reasons, then we still have Russell Brand, Kathy Wood, Michael Saylor, Robert Kennedy, Edward Snowden, Bill Miller. There's some big names that are going to be at the Bitcoin conference, and that is just about 2 weeks away, not even 10 days away at this point. It'll be interesting to see who shows up, what they talk about, what their message is in regards to Bitcoin, what's going on. Like I said, big news week. A couple weeks ago, there was that news from Dennis Porter about Louisiana coming out and showing that they are, again, leading the way with a couple other states, a few other states at this point, honestly. There's Oklahoma, Louisiana, Montana, and Arkansas. He says, huge breaking. Republican National Committee pro-Bitcoin platform influenced by Bitcoin rights bill passed into law in Oklahoma, Louisiana, Montana, and Arkansas. This goes to show that the work Dennis is doing is having a much bigger impact on the Bitcoin ecosystem than it might see if you look at a single state. If you just go, oh, wow, that's great, Oklahoma passed some pro-Bitcoin legislation, great. But once Oklahoma does it, then Montana, then Arkansas, then Louisiana, I might not have that order exactly correct, but one state goes, and then lawmakers in the other states, they talk, they get in contact with each other, they hear their constituents saying that they like this, they want this, they see this thing. Dennis Porter shows up at their door, talks to them, shares the news, they get on board, they start going pro-Bitcoin. And then you got 4 states, like I said a couple weeks ago, that's 1 state away from 10% of the entire United States. That is significant. Then you have the RNC come along and go, hey, that's a lot of votes. And apparently the millennials and younger generation are more interested in crypto, Bitcoin, any of that type stuff than they are in stocks and bonds because, well, they can probably wrap their head around the one and not the other. How do we get that vote? How do we go pro-Bitcoin? Let's talk to these states. So the states get on board, and then the whole committee gets on board, and then the whole US, maybe? And speaking of that very thing, back on the 9th, Jason Lowry posted this tweet. He showed the little eyes, the boom, and the winky face, and then he had a link to what I'm about to show you. It's this Cointelegraph news thing here, right here. This. U.S. Senate recommends blockchain for national security tests. The bullish news coming from Bitcoin is... I hesitate to even show this because it's so outlandish. It is so wild. I don't know what it means if this were to come true. I'm not sure it's a good thing for the world because, well, I'll just show it to you and then you can be the judge. Fidelity. $1 billion per coin looks about right. Seriously. This is from Fidelity. Talking about Bitcoin possibly being $1 billion around the year 2038. Like I said a second ago, Look, I don't make price predictions. I don't have models. I don't have things that I follow. I'm too stupid to come up with trajectories and know all the macro and the ins and outs and the price, the CPI, the inflation, the interest rate. I have no idea. So I pay attention to what people that get paid to do that very thing do. So when Fidelity comes out and releases a report, or when Adam Back or Samson Mow, these people that are deep in the system, this is what they do for a living, I just share the news. But those people, when they talk about prices, I pay attention. I have no idea what the price of Bitcoin is going to be from day to day, year to year, month to month. But what I do know is that Bitcoin, the whole space, is one of the most interesting places to be paying attention to right now. Until next week.